music forms across the length and breadth of Ghana, and to sort of propagate it to the other nations within the African continent. And so Nketia was called upon to start this experiment, and he started it. And they placed an advert in 1962 for active young men and women who are interested to be auditioned to join the company. And then Nketia also went a step ahead to talk to Professor Narh, who was an arts person teaching by then at the University of Kwame University of Science and Technology. I think it was the University of Science and Technology, and then later it was Christian Kwame University of Science and Technology. And so he also came on board. And then the audition went on. They got the initial 12 members. I cannot mention their names offhand, but Professor Adinku over there, Patience Kwak, I've forgotten the rest of the names, but they were 12. And these were made up of 6 women and 6 men. And later on, another 2 were also added to add up to 14. And they started the ensemble. And so as that experiment went ahead, the university was finding it difficult to place this 14 within academia. And so they had to establish a certificate program in English and in dance.
Hello?
And so the certificate program also continued. And after passing the certificate program, they were now integrated within the university system to be university staff members. And the experiment went on it went on, and they how do you call it? That was how they were called. And then later on, it became Ghana Dance Ensemble. And out of Ghana Dance Ensemble, that it was the School of Music, and for the School of Music and Drama was that within the music form, you find dance, and dance and music go hand in hand. And so you talk about music, they're talking about whatever, however they are. And so they didn't deem it fit to have School of Music, Dance, and Drama. So music captured the essence of the two. And somewhere in 1972 or so, Ensemble, and then the School of Music, Dance, and Drama was questioned whether that body should hold music and drama. School should hold, or they should really integrate them back into another Institute of African Studies, or take them out. And so Professor Buzia was tasked, who was a sociologist. And so he, out of his one-man committee, suggested that they decouple the school from the ensemble, so that the ensemble will be with the institute, and then the school will stand on its own. And out of the school came the School of Performing Arts, which included music, dance, and drama, fully fledged departments. And so really, Ghana Dance Ensemble has been a model group for the study and advancement of dance forms of Ghana and Africa on the continent. And as of now, it's still a force to reckon with. Yes. So let me pause here so I could pick your follow-up question.
Yeah, that's right. So so looking at this, where are we currently with Kwame Nkrumah's vision for the establishment of the dance ensemble? Can we confidently say that, okay, over the years it has been affirmed? Do we have more to achieve? Where in the spectrum are we right now?
Well, I think the idea of establishing ensemble is still on track, but the ensemble is also moving ahead into different realms. The idea that the ensemble should be a model performance group that would propagate African indigenous ideas was on course. In fact, for some time now, if I prior to my coming, the ensemble has been a performance piece for the nation. Each time there's a national event, the ensemble performs. Each time there's a conference within a continent or outside, and there's the need to have an African representation, the ensemble is sent to perform. The length and breadth of Africa and the world to perform and to show the world that Africa is equal to any of the other world powers when it comes to artistic performances. And so with Narh Opoku coming on board, he also brought in an aspect, and this aspect is what we are also towing now within the academia. Now, that aspect is the fact that we should pick indigenous idioms out of the traditional dances and customary behaviors within our society, which is part of music and dance and drama performance. And then or develop them into new art forms. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, it was cutting out a little bit, so it was getting muffled. But
Professor,
now,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Am I on?
Yes, you are. Can you hear me?
Yes. I'm actually operating from my car. I have to move out. I can hear you. Should I continue? Or it's still breaking?
Go ahead. No, it's better now. Yeah.
It's better now, right?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
I'm operating from my car, so pardon me. Nkrumah's vision is still on course, but we are shifting slightly into a different realm of moving on from where Nkrumah left off. That is to harness the traditions and perform them. Now, out of the performance, Narh Opoku has made us aware that we can pick up from indigenous movement ideas, manipulate them, develop them further into other art forms. And so when we're talking about dance as an art form, we are looking at some of these development, further development on the indigenous art forms into what currently we have as contemporary African dance, which is also on its metamorphosis state. It's also refinement. And so the ensemble, out of the repertoire of traditional dances that it has, previous artistic directors have choreographed different ideas and different ideals out of this repertoire of movement and indigenous philosophies and ideas. And so that is where we are now, picking out of the tradition and then modifying them and then advancing with it. Am I clear on that?
Yes, yes, yes. So would you say that that is a deviation, especially when you talk about moving on from the if I may, the new traditional dance form to the contemporary dance form? Do you look at it as a deviation, or you look at it as a diversion, or you look at it as a continuation from an established form? And yes, how do you look at that?
Well, I look at it as an advancement, an improvement upon what has been left over. It will be bad on our part if we should leave it the way it is, because even in the traditional settlements or the traditional communities where these dance forms or these dance ideas have also moved on, And so how the dances used to be as well differently. In fact, others are also performing the repertoire that the ensemble has. And so it's nothing is cast in concrete. Everything is changing. And so we have to change with the advancement of time. And so what we are doing now is actually an advancement. And remember, we are the from somewhere, so we still retain some of the repertoire as has been handed with their own personalities and their own understanding to bear on the dances. And so for a dance like Achiagbako or a dance like Bawa, they have 1 and 2, they have a medley that has slow, first slow, second slow, and then what we call medley, and then fast and super fast, and so on. And so there's Damba 1 and there's Damba 2. Damba 1 is what Baropoku choreographed out of his research work. And Damba 2 is what another, and so we have all this. So when anybody also out of his own artistic perspective creates a version or rearranges some of the dances to reflect a certain idea, then we add it on. And so we keep adding on, every artistic director keeps adding on, keeps researching, and keeps adding on.
Okay.
Not throwing away the origin or what, so everybody's bringing their perspective to bear.
Okay. So now there is the traditional forms, right? So what Ghana Dance Ensemble will go learn from the village or from the traditional area and then bring it on their stage. Perhaps we may call it new traditional dance when it comes to dance ensemble. Now there is that, and also there is the new forms that you're creating out of those forms. Of course, you mentioned contemporary African dance. And so at what period were those dances learned? And as you indicated, that time has changed. Of course, the history has, the period has changed. And so the dance has changed within the people themselves. Is there any way to marry the two and say that, okay, contemporary times, the dances are being performed this way. And so if you see dance ensemble performing the dance this way, it is a reflective of what is currently being performed in the villages? Or Ghana Dance Ensemble is still maintaining the first form, I should say, that was, deduced from the village when the dance ensemble was established?
Right. So it's well, let me take it this way. So at the point of creation of the dances, in fact, in an interview with one of the pioneers, Helen Mensah, she tells me that Kwame Nkrumah gave each member, remember, Ghana Dance Ensemble was made up of members that were selected from across the length and breadth of the nation. Yeah, and so right. they are a reflection of the nation. And so we have members from the northern part, members from the middle belt, members from the western, eastern, and southern. And so you find a cross-section of members, and they were asked to go to their communities and look at their dances and then come and teach them. And others were also brought in to teach and go. And others were also with special skills, especially musicians, those who play xylophone, those who play the siprewa, those who play gunje. They were specially brought on because they perform special musical instrument. They perform on special musical instruments. And so they were all brought on to bring their culture to bear. The task was that as these people have been selected, they are supposed to pass on their culture onto the members. And so each member is supposed to learn from each other, their culture, and then pass theirs also on. Learn from another person and then pass yours also on. And so everybody became abreast with all the performances. Now, that's far. The other idea was that we are going to advance from the indigenous dances. And so Maropuku himself created the Misegu or Husagu Achia Husagu, that is the lamentation for the dead. And that was one of his first choreographies to kickstart the idea of metamorphosing or using indigenous ideas to choreograph and to give the whole dance a different outlook. And so over the period of time, this tradition was followed. Subsequent artistic directors also on this trajectory. And so actually, the path is that we go to the community, learn from them, come and make it or remodel it to suit the Western stage. And so in remodeling, missing. And also there was the idea that, in fact, out of the performances, any religious aspects started worrying or affecting the performance, because some of them, and so in the course of performances, certain rhythms trigger certain deities that are related to some of the performance. And so those aspects also had to be looked at. And so it happened that some of the religious components that were very sensitive had to be taken out. Should I say distortions or diverting from the tradition started happening. And remember, we have to manipulate also. Within the tradition, we perform mostly in the round with musicians and performers in the circle and the audience around. But on the Western stage, you have to perform within the proscenium stage and face the audience. So we are performing for the audience and we are not performing with the audience. And so the audience hardly join in the performance. They just sit and watch and then we perform too. So all these bits were some of the deviations or diversions from what the tradition held at that time. And current traditional dance ensembles or companies or groups that are dotted around the country are also picking up from the ensemble, and they're also performing for their audience and not performing with their audience, except a few that are within the culture, okay, that told their natural performance approach. Yeah, so these are some of the diversions. And so the vision is still on, but then we are advancing it to a different realm.
Okay, so so there is no reconciliation on how the tradition is today. I mean, the dances performed today. Is there anything like that?
The dances performed today within the tradition has metamorphosed. It has changed.
And, yeah. So per the old. The dance ensemble is a repertoire. They have had these dances probably in the 50s or in the 60s, and they have kept it for a long time up to now. Now those dances that were taken has metamorphosized into various forms. Is there a meeting point? Is there a going back into the community and refreshing on how it was versus how it is now? Is there any process like that?
Not yet. As in research, going back to research and see the state of the dances within the community and looking at what we have in the ensemble, that research has not started yet. Okay. Yes, that research has not started yet. In fact, some of the what do you call it? Even kings or traditional authorities, even we have to school them for them to go and take up their kingship roles. And so a lot of the kings come for us to teach them the phantom froms, the Ketes, the drum language, the Agbajas. Recently, one of the kings had to come, and then one of my colleagues had to take him through some basic steps in how to perform from his tradition. And after a period of tutorial, he was ready to be installed. And so he went and he took up his traditional authority. And so,
so what problem do you see
a sort of
in that?
delicate?
Yeah, what problem do you see in this particular scenario that you just gave? So, I mean, looking at it from its authenticity, right? Now, the dance belongs to a particular ethnic group. This traditional ethnic group, perform the dance as functional activity within their life cycle, and so it is established within their calendar year. Now, a third party comes to learn the dance, reforms it to, as you said, contemporary, maybe modern stage or Western stage. Now, these people who are supposed to be the tradition bearers or custodians of tradition comes back to learn from the, as it were, I don't know whether to use the word watered down version, but for lack of a better word. And then they're taking it back to the tradition. Are there not so much problems with that?
Well, the other challenge is that modernity has affected the thinking and approach and how we revere our tradition. And so traditionally, because of education, because of Christianity, because of Islam, because of modern technology, people are not willing to stick to their tradition. And so they are gradually veering away from the tradition. Very often the youth, contemporary youth, are moving away from the tradition. And so over a period of time, since tradition had to go on, people who have moved away out of, maybe due to education, so they had to leave for boarding school. After boarding school, they have to come to university. And then from university, they seek white-collar jobs and they sit in offices. They hardly live within a community. They hardly hear the drum rhythms. They hardly take part in the communal dances. They hardly infuse themselves within their tradition. And here is the case that one person is from a royal lineage. And so there is a vacancy for him to ascend the throne. And here is the case, he also has no firm grip on his tradition. My tradition demands that he has to be knowledgeable. And so the next to pristine knowledge of the tradition is the ensemble. Okay. The reason being that the ensemble members were trained by Eswa indigenous culture bearers. And so whatever they trained the ensemble with, the ensemble kept that tradition. Although they are advancing it, they still have that basic unit intact. Okay, so since they have the basic unit intact, they ensemble perform the basic unit and then the advancement of it. And so whoever has lost track would have to come back to maybe the first copy that was saved, that is close to his tradition. So he has to come back to the ensemble for the ensemble to give him that copy that he might have missed. Okay, and so that is it. We are preserving it as well as advancing some parts of it. Okay, so we have what we took from the tradition in there, and then we are advancing an aspect of it, but we still hold on to what has been handed over to us. And so the tradition bearers, or those who are supposed to be tradition bearers now, who have lost track, they come to the ensemble to come and retrace their steps and then move on from there. We also hold on to what we have, and we're also advancing aspects of it as we move along. And so we are using modern technology to record some of our repertoire so that we keep it within the archive. And so if you come to the Institute of African Studies archive, there are performances from as far back as they could lay hands on of the Ghana Dance Ensemble. And so they have recordings of this. And recently, quite recently, myself and my the ensemble members, we had to go into the archive to watch and listen to some of the old and some of the movements that have been added on and some that have been taken off some of the repertoire. They were all available to us. And so we have also taken advantage of technology to record some of this repertoire so that in case we, humans as we are, we forget, we can fall on that. And since we are a repository of knowledge, community members or anyone who wishes to learn further also approaches us for that service.
Okay. Well, a lot of things to pick from those points, but I think something came into my mind. I'm not sure whether it just escaped, but what do you think about, I mean, the general saying that, okay, so Christianity or Islam is what is actually deterring people from learning their dance forms. Is that a simplistic way of looking at it, or that is the fact, or we could interrogate that more?
Well, Christianity came up and there was that idea of tabula rasa, as was espoused by Professor Emmanuel. I've forgotten his name. I think he's a Presby cleric. And the idea was that the white person, the white man, thought there's nothing good about our tradition for him to build his Christianity on. So in order for him to be successful in implementing what he wanted to implement, he needed to make sure that you see what you have as not good enough. And so if what you have is not good enough and you see what he has as good enough, you throw yours away and go for his. And over a period of time, through education and through other surreptitious means, we were made to gradually see our tradition as not too good. And so within our churches, we hardly play the traditional instruments because they summoned the devil himself. And so you don't go there. When I was growing up, anytime in Pram, anytime there's a Nkrumah, and Nkrumah is a religious performance of the people of all the Dangbes. Just ask Play, is the religion of the Gans. Nkrumah is the religion of the Dangbe. And it contains all the philosophies of the Dangbe, their essences and their beliefs, their worldview in there. When they are performing it, you who belong to you who school at the Anglican school, you're not supposed to go and watch. If you go and watch and your teacher or any teacher identifies you, when you come to school the next day, you'll be called during assembly and then you'll be caned. And so through some of these ways, you are deterred when you see the performance, when you hear the sound of it, run away, you don't get close. All right, so you realize that we're drifting away from this culture. But now go back to that culture again and try and understand what they do. You really appreciate what they stand for. And so that is their religion and that is their worship form. And so they believe in speaking to this same supreme being through the music and dance and whatever they believe in that they worship. Just as Christianity says you should believe through Allah. Okay, there's Buddhism, there's Shintoism, they also have their, but come to think of it, we are all serving one supreme deity and we are all believing in peace, living peaceably with each other. And this is the very essence of what the tradition also is also championing. And so all the indigenous worship forms, they are all trying to live peaceably with each other, trying to go by natural justice. You do good, you reap the benefits. You do evil, you get punished. and all those kind of things. Take care of each other, and just like Ubuntu, we are because everyone is. And so that whole idea was there, but we were made to shift away from it. And contemporary wise, we are realizing that technology is also playing a very key role in us moving away from our tradition. Okay, and so the advancement of television. So instead of going to the community center and watch performances, there is television. So you just change the channel, and then you can watch as many entertainment as you have. There are DVDs that you can watch movies, and now go to YouTube. Internet technology is there. And so when I hear drumming, Charlie, I might as well go and watch Wakanda or go and watch something else. Okay. And I am in the comfort of my home with internet, I can watch and see whatever I want. And so this whole intervention, it's keeping the youth away from that communal indigenous way of living. Remember, when you go to the community center or under the big tree where there's drumming and dancing, you are going to move, you're going to learn the movement, you're going to hear the rhythm, you're going to understand the interpretations of those rhythms and what it means to everybody. Okay. Physically, you're going to go through the movement learning and the movement performance. It's an exercise for your body. Okay. You are going to meet with your friends and communicate and share ideas, joke, and then understand each other. For the young guys, for the young ladies, they get to see each other's temperament. They get to sort of what we say, dig each one out. They sort of scout for potential life partners and stuff like that. But now we are scouting for potential life partners on the internet. And we are being scammed right and center. Okay, so with this technological advancement, it has the culture. Okay, and so within the University of Ghana, the Department of Dance Studies is doing so well in teaching some of these indigenous dances, what we have termed neo traditions, to the students, so that at least they'll have the essence of the tradition that their forefathers with to us. So that going forward, they are not deprived, but they are having, if not how it used to be, they are having an essence of it, and they can also talk sensibly about their tradition and where they come from. In fact, there are some parents of the students that we have, when you ask them about their tradition and what they do, they know next to nothing. And so whatever their teachers or their daughters and sons learn from the school, that is what they teach to their parents. And contemporary social ideas and engagements and politics and technology is doing to us. But Ghana Dance Ensemble is also leveraging on this technology to let people see the tradition as it has modified, okay, so to speak. And so we are taking advantage, and we are performing on the stage, and it's being videoed and it's beaming on national TV, and some are on YouTube, some are on Facebook and stuff like that. And so we are battling it out so we don't lose it at all.
Okay, we'll come to tradition and technology maybe later on in the discussion, but why is there two different Ghana Dance Ensemble with the same name?
Right. So prior to 26 years ago, there was one Ghana Dance Ensemble, that is the National Dance Company of Ghana. And then somewhere in the 1989, under President Jerry John Rawlings, God rest his soul, of blessed memory, he sought for funds from the Chinese government. And that he was to decide whatever he wanted to do with it. And so somewhere in 1991, the National Theatre facility was built. And there was the need to have a resident performance companies. a resident dance company, a resident symphony orchestra, and then a resident drama company. Now, remember, Ghana Dance Ensemble had already been established, and it was under the Institute of African Studies at the University of Ghana. And then also in 1981-82, they had established a model experimental group at the School of Performing Arts. That is Nkrumah. And Nkrumah was to be an entity where students who complete the School of Performing Arts can move into and then practice their arts further and then exit into the, let's say, the world, for lack of a better word, into industry. Into industry to advance the course of the arts, be it music, dance, drama. And so Nkrumah is a resident theater company of the School of Performing Arts. So we have members from music, performers from music background, performers from dance background, and performers from drama background, all in there. And so they are propagating that ebibigro, what Abdallah wanted to bring, that typical African performance tradition, where there's no difference between the music performance, the dance performance, and then the drum performance. Now, all these groups, Dance Ensemble and then Nkrumah had already been established in the School of Performing Arts. So when Dr. Ben Abdallah had assumed that ministerial cultural minister within the nation, and then it was during that time that the National Theatre was built. So the facility needed to be manned by experts. And where are these experts? These experts already exist within the University of Ghana. So the idea was that they were going to move Ghana Dance Ensemble into the theater facility, so it will become a resident dance company in there. And Nkrumah will move into that same facility to be a resident drama company. And then the National Symphony Orchestra that used to rehearse at the Baden Powell Center was also supposed to move in there. Indigenous traditional music coupled with Western, because they were having the cellos, and then the tubas and double bass and all those facilities over there. Now, Ghana Dance Ensemble members asked a certain question, that when they move to National Theatre, will they lose their entitlement? Because some of them had worked with the ensemble for a very long time. And within the university system, if you work for a certain number of years and you go on retirement, you are entitled to your. So they asked those who wanted to move, will they have that entitlement will be truncated and they're going to start afresh? Some of them were advanced in age. Okay, the answer was not straightforward. And so it happened that when you move from Legon, if you've served for 10 years, all that is accrued to you, you are going to lose it. Start afresh. And so there was that front and back thinking. And so others decided no, not to go, because they've worked so far that they can't let what they've earned go away. And so they decided not to go. But the artistic director then wanted them to move. And there was a political will for them to move. And so the front of the ensemble got broken. So the idea is that I'm going to ask individual member, if you want to move, step aside. If you don't want to move, stay here. And so those who opted to move went aside, and then they moved on to National Theatre. The same happened with Nkrumah. And because the Ghana Dance Ensemble was known worldwide, okay, when they were moving, they moved with their name. And because they had political backing, any national assignment, they intercepted because they also went with the name Ghana Dance Ensemble. So if they had gone with a different name, they had to build the brand again.
Yeah.
But they leveraged on the already built brand and they went with it. And so as of now, in the books of the nation, Ghana Dance Ensemble is what is at the National Theatre. And the Accountant General pays them and knows them by the name Ghana Dance Ensemble. Now, Niate wanting to be smart, tried changing the name to National Dance Company. So unofficially, they are known as National Dance Company. In the books of government, they are paid as Ghana Dance Ensemble. So now they write Ghana Dance, National Dance Company, or Ghana Dance Ensemble National Theatre. And we write Ghana Dance Ensemble Institute of African Studies, University of Ghana.
Wow.
There have been discussions for them to change the name so that they will go in for the National Dance Company so we can maintain the Ghana Dance Ensemble.
Hello? Yeah, sorry, everybody. Internet challenges right there.
So that they don't have to build the brand again. So that is why we have Ghana Dance Ensemble National Theatre, Ghana Dance Ensemble Legon, and there's Nkrumah National Theatre, Nkrumah Legon. And so this is it. It's an ongoing tussle.
Yeah, and I mean, to my best of knowledge, this has actually dragged on for a very long time.
Very, very
is
long
there
time.
any governing body that looks at this? I mean, I wish, of course, that is not the case. But is there any governing body above these two companies that can just bring this case to a rest? Because Ghana Dance Ensemble in two places. How does it work? I mean, in government books. Anyway, I know it's probably above my pay grade, but hopefully, hopefully we can get things established in the best way. Because I mean, I feel like this probably. I mean, okay, so now they have. Okay, maybe I don't know.
The other funny bit is that performances that are meant for us go there, and performances that are meant for them
it.
Also comes here, and and for the members, it's a battle. It's undercurrent, unhealthy battle. Okay, but for we artistic directors, we are trying to get our boards to also talk on that, but it's an ongoing tussle, and we are trying. Some of the directors at the Institute of African Studies are on the board of National Theatre, and the National Theatre executive directors also know. But it has to take a political will from the Ministry of Tourism, Culture, and Creative Arts. It has to take political will for someone to revert it. Yeah. But are the politicians ready to go through that whole parliamentarian thing elsewhere for something better to do? So they are really not looking at it. Otherwise, this thing should have been over and done with. And we had a deputy minister who was a product of School of Performing Arts. And we've had people, industry players, who also know this discourse. The current artistic director at the National Theatre is also a product of the School of Performing Arts. And she's also well aware. The executive director at National Theatre is also well aware. A lot of people are well aware, but it's a long journey. It's a long tussle for it to be changed. And nobody is willing to go on that journey. And so we're still soldiering on and talking about it.
Okay, so now that we are on that part, let me ask a little bit. So are the two companies, are the visions and missions of Kwame Nkrumah's establishment of Dance Ensemble shared by both companies, or are there specific things that each company does differently from each other in respect to those the visions of Kwame Nkrumah to save or to have repertoires of traditional forms in these dance ensembles?
Well, I think we are all advancing the vision of Nkrumah in diverse ways. Okay, National Theatre has the platform of the theatre, and so every now and then they mount performances, and everyone who comes to watch these performances sees the ideal of the need for us to propagate our culture in there. what we also do at the university, where at every congregation, at every university official gathering, we perform our traditional dances as a form of identity projection. Okay, we are also doing it. And so I think each and every one of us, and then also those companies, they're also performing some of this observation and trying to push from one state onto the other in one way or the other. Okay. Currently, I wouldn't say the onus lies on us to push it so much that if we don't push it, the vision is lost. No, the vision it's still there. The National Theatre Company is pushing it. We are also pushing it. Remember, the Department of Dance Studies is also churning out students within the students of dance. Okay, and they are all going out and they are advancing the course of dance practice or indigenous African practice. Okay, from academia. And so the vision is still there. Remember, Nkrumah in his African Genius statement said that it is time for the gown to go to town. So whatever it is that we learn within the university wearing the academic gown, we should step out into the community, into the society, and make sure society feels the impact of our research. And so when you go and you research and you come and you sort of reduce the research into a performance mode and you perform it and you talk about the performance, people get to understand, people get to appreciate what has gone into the performance and the need for us to hold on to our tradition. And so at different stages, we are all advancing the vision of Nkrumah.
Okay, now that you brought the issue of the School of Performing Arts, let me just chip in a little bit. So I think you said earlier on that the establishment, the pioneers who were the leaders, members of the ensemble right from the beginning, they were, how do I put it? They were picked from the different ethnic groups, right?
Yes.
And they were schooled through the process and they became graduates and all that. Was that it?
Yeah.
So when did that process cease? Because now I'm not sure whether there is any after school connection with much, let me use that word, much connection with students and the dance ensemble. Of course, you were once a student from the School of Performing Arts and now you are the artistic director. But of course, talking about the quantum of students who churn out from the School of Performing Arts pair, some of these positions, they are very limited. I'm talking about the members themselves. So when was that break? Was it that the students were not interested in pursuing further engagement with a dance ensemble, or was it just an easy way to get people who already know these dance forms from the different traditions and then put them in the dance ensemble as performers and dancers and what have you? Why wasn't that whole graduate thing continue?
Well, the thing is there. So this is what happened. Those pioneers who began the school or the academic training process, some became our lecturers, Miss Kwakwa, Professor Dinku, and so on and so forth. Professor, how do you call it? Ampofododu. They all came back. Okay, so they went through the system. It was the model that they studied. That model was advanced, and that model became what the School of Music and Drama took off from. Okay, out of that model, we had the School of Music and then drama. Okay, and remember the School of Music had the dance component family built in there. Okay, and when that model became a little bigger, it became a School of Music, dance, and drama. So they had 3 departments. And out of these three academic units, expanded each of the programs. These pioneers that went through this model, out of which developed into the school system, okay, came back to teach again. Others were recruited. Others were recruited, and they were given different lessons. Okay. Now, within the university, when you are employed as a staff, you are supposed to develop. Okay, you're supposed to advance. It got to a point that at every recruitment, certain caliber of students or people were requested. People who had indigenous knowledge, okay, came through. Now, the other bit is that anyone who has indigenous knowledge and has basic reading and learning skill, be it BEC or SSC, you are employed as a performer within the ensemble or within the university. Okay, if you want to move on in rank, there was that idea that you go for further studies. Okay, and so for further studies, if you are interested, you could take evening classes from remedial classes from schools that are around.
Or adult education programs.
Adult education program. This is for promotional purposes. Okay, but because of the demands, because of the nature of what the ensemble stood for, academicians were not the target, because they are now learning from what has been established. Okay, what the ensemble wanted was people who had indigenous knowledge from the tradition, who knew how to play xylophone, who knew how to play seprewa, who knew how to play gonje, who were master drummers in their own ensembles, for them to bring that tradition on board and for us to propagate it. Okay, so they wanted a certain caliber of intake and a certain caliber of outlet. You understand? Now, within your employment, if you want to move on, you need to be strategic and find an alternative means. And so you could start attending private lessons, private classes, or remedial classes, and then advance in your area. Okay, advance your education. So let's say you are a JHS holder. So you go through private lessons, and then you write for SSC private students. And then when you pass, you enter into the university system. When such a person enters the university system, you are going to study dance within the academia. Okay, and then the traditional dance and drumming and singing and other performances that will be introduced to you, it is looked within a certain light. And so we have dance courses like dance forms of Ghana, dance forms of Africa, dance cultures of the world. All the dance cultures of the world, they're not going to train you how to dance Bharatanatyam. You're going to watch and talk about it. Okay, but for the ensemble, you're supposed to have that skill. And it was the skill that the ensemble is looking for, and not the academic training of the members. Okay, the ensemble wanted a certain skill set so that they keep propagating the tradition. Okay, the academia wanted a certain acumen, a certain faculty to understand how all these pieces can integrate. Okay, or how these pieces can work together, and then how you can advance them. Okay, good. Okay. And so this is actually the conundrum. All right, but see, anyone who wants to advance himself, okay, there are McLean's, there are Charles, people who took adult education courses, okay, and they are moving on. Now, within the university employment system, if you come with a degree, you are moved on to a senior staff level. If you don't have a degree, you are within the junior staff range. And so you grow from the junior staff range until you get to the senior staff range. If in the course of your employment, you take extra classes, okay, you advance yourself, and you come with a certificate that proves that you've taken a higher certificate or a higher degree, it is it is admitted and you are promoted accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And so any member of the ensemble can take advantage of this facility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Take advantage and do remedial classes
Mm-hmm.
and then present your certificate. And
Okay.
your employment, you are put on a certain rank.
Mm-hmm.
And that certain rank adds up to your financial benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how you also develop yourself.
Okay. All right. I have this question in mind, but I also don't want to seem demeaning to people who are already employees of the Ghana Dance Ensemble. However, so I'm going to try and structure it in such a way that doesn't offend anybody. So we have of course, when we talk about African dance forms, we're talking about movements in time and space that are embedded with philosophical underpinnings, events, so many things, right? So it goes beyond just movement in time and space. And we need, per Kwame Nkrumah's vision, we need people who of course, have control over what our official language is right now, because of course, different traditions, if you have different traditions and different languages, you want one unique language that you can use to send the message across, which is of course the English language as we have. Wasn't it going to be much helpful to have members transition from the University of the School of Performing Arts into the dance ensemble who already have much control of the language, especially the English language, not to downplay the intelligence of people who are already there, but in the sense relating it to the previous people who actually members of the ensemble, right? So wouldn't it have propagated the word better? And again, I'm actually choosing my words carefully because I know that these tradition bearers, people who have been recruited from the different tradition, of course, I can't even quantify the intelligence that they have with knowing how to play series of rhythms, with knowing how to do specific, different dances. It takes intelligence, somebody to be intelligent to do that. But wouldn't have been an added on benefit if we had also had much more students from the School of Performing Arts who are also into research. They're doing the practical aspect and they are also doing the dance, and they're balancing the whole equation in that sense, where of course people who are much stronger within the traditional dance forms are balancing the equation in. They're helping these students who are also graduating from the School of Performing Arts, coming into the dance ensemble to learn this movement, and also them also using their own skills, research skills or prowess, and whatever intellectual things they got
Acumen
from
that
the
they
School
can
of
bring on
Performing
board.
Arts. Exactly. So that it will be balanced in such a way that African dance forms involves a lot of information. And when we are sending this information out to the community, we have to say it in such a way that it is not breaking away from the intent of tradition. But then if the communication, because there is a likelihood that if you don't communicate certain information about our tradition, the only idea you get is that it is barbaric. It is evil, it is this, it is that. But if people have had this training and understood, and they understood or they understand the forms and the reason why some dances are performed, some rituals are done and all that, will that not actually, oh, okay. I think he went off. All right. So this African Live Art, having a weekly discussion on various topics. Today we have Ghana Dance Ensemble, and the director is, thanks for having you. We have the director to be Dr. Narh, and we've been talking about the vision of Kwame Nkrumah, how the dance ensemble came into being, and moving on from there, various aspects of the dance ensemble as well. So did you get my question before the line went off?
Yes. In essence, I think I did. Yes, I've also championed the same cause, but you see, those who are moving from the academia into the practice of what we do within the ensemble, they are lacking the skill. Ensemble is a performance group. Okay, it's a performance group with a certain agenda.
So
okay?
I'm actually picking it from the intent of Kwame Nkrumah as a repertoire, and the repertoire involves the knowledge base of these dance forms and not necessarily just the performance aspect. So that is where I'm picking it from, and I understand that, of course, the energy of these dancers, it's way high, but a balance where it wouldn't be ranked down to only just movement. But
you admit also, sorry to Martin, but you admit also that the knowledge that you're talking from is from those who knew it, those who have been practicing it for long. They have the indigenous knowledge of what it is that they are propagating. Okay. And so myself, every day, every time we go perform, they play certain rhythms. And then when I quiz them about the rhythm, then they tell me the interpretation. Okay, so even myself, every now and then, I keep learning from them. They are the people we call indigenous scholars. So from each, from their ethnic group, from that tradition that they are coming from, they have this knowledge in them. Now, we have someone like KB, who is a dexterous kete and photo from performer, or a musician rather. Okay, when we have a high profile performance, he takes over the kete. Okay, now he comes from Ashanti region, and he's performed for the Otumfo. He's performed for he's performed for a lot of the kings over there. So he knows their call signatures, he knows their movement signatures, and he knows what to perform for them. Okay, and when we go for national performances and these kings come and he's performing, they appreciate what he communicates with them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Someone from who is a dance graduate, whose focus is not drumming, or even if his focus is drumming, it will take the person a very, very long time for the person to grasp all this. This person has lived within the culture, has grown out of the culture, and has learned it and has picked a lot from the tradition. Okay. Someone coming from the academia.
Would that also not add to the strength of people from academia? Because as you admitted, even some of the things you learn as you go.
The other bit is that within the university structure, the one from the academia will be looking for a certain pay pack. The one from the academia will be looking for certain things that you might not get per the structure, per the how set up. A master's degree, you have your first degree and then a second. You're a member of the ensemble, and by that you are a performer. Okay, you want to earn a certain amount of money that your colleagues but per your chosen career, this is what you get. If you don't advance to become the artistic director or deputy artistic director to sit on that food chain, you'll be on a performance arena performing. Okay, so will you be able to reconcile yourself with all your degrees and keep performing? That is a question we need to answer. We've not experimented on it, and so we don't really know the answer yet. And certain demands and ups and downs of it. And so actually, per the focus of the ensemble to have a certain skill set, okay, you will not get it within the academia. What you get within the academia is a gift of assimilation of these traditions, gift of gift of interpretation, gift of analytical thinking, and all this. And this is what the artistic director and then the deputy artistic director, if they're raised, so this is what their mandate is. Okay. We write synopsis of what you're going to do. Okay. And it's supposed to be read prior to the to educate the populace about what they are going to watch or what they are going to experience. Do you understand? The performance bit, it's being done by those who have that skill set to perform it. Of course, someone like Dr. Kuo, he grew out of the tradition and he's learned how to perform every set of dance, music and everything. And he is also a scholar in that direction. Okay. But compared to him and what he has achieved for himself, coming to be with the ensemble and be on the performance, would he be able to reconcile himself and move in that trajectory? Okay. Myself coming on board, I've asked this question, but I also come to appreciate the reason why all this, how do you call it? All these things were put in place in the way it is. All right. And so perhaps we can take a look at what you are also discussing, but then we can't lose sight of the fact that the skill set that we are looking for are coming from a certain direction, and so we have to go for them.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern is the fact that we churn out a lot of students. Maybe we don't even have to talk about the master's program, BFA program. What is the next line for them? So if they are not pursuing their master's degree and also furthering to become maybe professors in the field, what else is available?
The other thing is that we are churning out academicians who are supposed to be critical thinkers, who are supposed to be entrepreneurial in approach, okay, who are not supposed to fit into the laid down structures within the public service. And so our Minister of Finance will tell you that the how do you call it, the vacancy within the
is full.
is full. Okay, so we are training performance to think outside the box and to translate the knowledge that they have, okay, into other creative art, creative forms, in order for them to excel in that.
Yeah, but so, I mean, the bigger question with that particular one will be that is it the reality? You know, is it does the student have all the equipment to get into that space? Because when the statistics
have the wherewithal to move in, okay, but the other bit is that they have acquired so much that they can fit into different spheres of the economy that they find outside the four walls of the university. Okay, so we have students that are into insurance. Okay, there are students that are in the banks, there are students that are in the health sectors, there are students that are dotted in various points who have performing arts background. Okay, yeah. I've just supervised a student who went into dance and wellness, dance and health within the banking sector. One, because she has identified that within the bank, the teller's seat and the tables and the way it's been adjusted is impacting negatively on their health. And so they have to bend over consistently over their machines and equipment and then work. They have to sit in such a manner for a very long time. And so it's affecting their body structure. And so she has realized that if at the end of the day, you will take, maybe within a week, you will take 2 or 3 days after work to sort of dance or sort of exercise, you are going to help your body to actually fight obesity. Okay, you are going to help your body to actually improve upon circulation. You actually help your body to reposture the way you were prior to that sitting posture that you were in at the office. Okay, and so if you bend over for a long time in working, the exercise is supposed to mitigate that bent over spine. okay, in a certain way. So these are the people that we are channeling out, even though you cannot have all of them as performance. Okay, we can't have all of them as performance. Yes,
yeah.
and so
And I mean I understand. Of course, you know, when I talk about a dance ensemble, we're talking about different areas. You know, light person, design person, what have you? We have. So
film
when I talk about the
person,
dancers,
props person.
exactly. So when I'm
Yes.
talking about the dancers, I'm looking at the wider scope, not necessarily only performing. And
But you see, the other constraint is that, and I've been fighting this for over 2 years now, over 3 years now. The university and the nation is not giving us the opportunity to recruit, because they had to maintain a certain number of people in the system so that the system can be able to pay them. Now, when they overly recruit people into the government system, okay, the public sector system, it's going to impact on the wage quota. Okay, so for 8 years now, we've not had recruitment. Okay, so for these 8 years, all the students that we are training out of the School of Performing Arts, if you want to absorb them, we are not going to absorb any one of them. Okay, and a certain pay quota, maybe they are beyond that pay quota. Okay, but then, and it's a crafty thing. It's a very delicate balance that the university is. It's like they want a certain skill set, okay, to start from a certain level and be paid a certain quantum of money. When you bring people who do not have that skill set and pay the rank that they have, are supposed to pay them more, and you put a lot of them into the system, there is an imbalance within the system. And so even as of now, we want to recruit more, we are unable to, because we don't have the go ahead from the human resource unit, HRODD, for us to do recruitment. Okay, so here is the this also plays a key factor in there.
Anyway, of course, I'm sure that this is definitely, of course, above your pay grade to either, you know, employ people or not. Of course, definitely you have to get the permission from
but you see,
the powers that be.
I am nursing a secret agenda so that the next recruitment opportunity that I have, I would need someone who has a degree in, let's say, costume design to come and man the costume unit. Okay, and that person should be able to design and construct a costume, not just sketch and leave it to someone to come and sew, but you should be able to design a costume and then actually sew it. Okay, and then this person will be in charge of the costume unit. We need another person to be a lighting technician, someone who has a good sense of theater lighting to handle the lighting unit. Okay, and these people obviously are not going to be within the lower ranks. Okay, so you are going to put those who have that acumen within a certain senior rank to handle certain level of activities. Okay, and then those that you will not be able to let's say recruit to be within that higher rank, they go within the lower rank. So there's a sort of a balance in there.
Okay, so let's talk about maybe enough of the this was let's get into dance and technology, or dance and technology. I know of course I teach few schools around. Sometimes I feel like looking at the advancement of various communities, various, you know, people, and then adjusting it or juxtaposing it with what you have might be a better way to look at the world in a way that you can maybe be abreast with time. And so for that reason, I look into 50 years from now, are we going to still keep getting sheepskin for making our drums, or getting the goat skin, cow skin, antelope, whatever, to make our, of course. And I understand the fact that there are specific, texture that is needed for a specific drum because of the sound that they produce. But as we move along, so many things are coming in where we are making adjustments as we go along. Now there is a lot of, advance in online education or digital education, so digitalization of education. Now, has it been a discussion with the dance ensemble within this courses in terms of moving on from what the tradition is now to what is demanded globally, not necessarily adapting to global forms, but maybe, for lack of a better word, moving our instruments towards a particular electronic form, so that it is not breaking and then we cutting down the trees, hurting the environment, of course, animals, and on and on and on. Is there any discussion towards that line?
Well, not yet, especially within the when it comes to the musical resource. We've not gotten to that discussion yet. When it comes to technology, I am sure technology has recorded a lot of drum sounds that we can find within how do you call it, the sound realm, okay, the sonic realm. And see, I'm sure when we say, even when it comes to the drums that they use in the sound recording studios, okay, if you're looking for a certain tone quality, you might get. On the other hand, if you can't get, you have to record and then synthesize them and then use it. But from where we are, we have not discussed that yet. We've not moved to that realm yet. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so so people who and those are some of the resources, because I mean, going back and forth with and employment is a big thing for me, of course, because I know that some schools over here, they even kind of go to the extent of letting the students know how they can even help them after school to get employment, blah, blah, blah. And so it is not just, okay, we are teaching you this, and so use your faculties to go create something. Of course, that is there, but education is moving so fast that the schools are actually saying, okay, when you finish with this, blah, 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 these are some of the things, even to the extent where they push these people. Now, within the School of Performing Arts, somebody, as you said before, somebody can be a drum instructor, a dance instructor, and that could be the person's livelihood, especially maybe the person doesn't stay in Ghana. Now, I teach classes over here, and sometimes I use a particular, I think it's World West music or something. I have to get the word right. And this person has actually recorded these musical instruments, the solos of these musical instruments, blended it in an amplifier form. This whole amplify machine. And then you can mute the sogo, you can mute the kidi, you can mute the kanga, and then only the bell will play. So for example, you're teaching somebody Kwanogo, you can use that, right? You can use these forms. And understand that, yes, we can record these sounds, but what is the level of quality that we can get, rather than actually tuning, of course, or getting engineers to tune up a particular musical instrument to sound exactly like the sogo, to sound exactly like the fontom, to sound exactly like the achimevu or the bell, and put it in a form where we can actually gradually graduate from these dependent on trees that, of course, are really running out in Africa, and animals as well, and all those things. And I'm looking at 50 years, not even 50 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years,
10
100 years from
10
now.
years.
100 years from now,
yeah.
We can't be cutting down the trees.
I am sure by then we have moved out of Nkrumah's agenda, right?
I don't know, but then wouldn't it be?
Not necessarily, but you see, with advancement of technology, these are some of the things that we need to also look at. Okay, and this is the bane of the technology, and that's we are now going back to the earlier discussions we had with the fact that we are moving out of these traditions now. Some of these drums have their own history, okay, and so they are carved in a particular way, and so they come in a particular form and stuff like that. And so even the drums they have their own history that you need to learn. Now, if you are moving into the technological realm, which means that some of these drums might either be reduced into, let's say, museum pieces, museum artworks, okay, and then transition the rest into technology. Now, the moment we go into technology, we lose the tactility of it. We lose the skill of playing with it. When technology intervenes, a whole range of things are taken away from us. Okay.
Yeah.
And so
and I mean, I look at it per what the dance form is now. Going to learn the dance. As soon as you go into the village and you learn the dance and you bring it, you are breaking a lot of barriers. So that is the initial barrier that you've broken, and we can keep breaking them as we go along.
The barriers that you are going to break, there might not be a lot of barriers.
But we can also think about electronic sogo, electronic kiddie, electronic kanga, whereby you can carve the thing.
Who's going to play it?
I mean, just we have right now. Previously we used to have this.
I know.
Adjust.
Yes. Now, that was the word I was looking for.
Exactly. So now instead of real animals, it could be a metallic stuff playing, having carved the whole instrument like the real drum, and then having to play it electronically. And that could reduce, tree cutting, save the forest a little bit, and on and on, because people are making a lot of money, cutting down trees.
Definitely. And if we are even facing the challenge of the trees now, because sometimes when you want certain trees to be brought to you, in fact, my master musician is complaining. He's requested for drums to be brought, for certain drum shells to be brought to him, and it's taken a very long time. As well, it used to be a very short distance, but now you have to wait because the people have to travel to farther place before they are able to get it. And when they bring it, it's not actually the size that you want. It's not the quality that you want, because the trees are not grown to a certain level, and then they are felled and all those stuff. Yes, I think that is gradually it's going to stare us in the face, and we have to be moving into that realm, which means also that we are going to cede our how do you call it, to technology, and then we are going to let technology mediate and see the reality will dawn on us within the next 5 to 10 years. And so it's a good call that we have to look at. But then it also means that we have to be very selective in the synthesizers that we are going to look for, and then maybe get experts to come in, actually understand the drum tones that we have, and then record them, and then digitalize them, so that when they are fed into or uploaded into the synthesizer, whatever we need, we can just reproduce it. Because you only need that synthesizer, and then feed it with a particular sound tone. And so one plate of a synthesizer per one sound tone, or you have the plate of synthesizers, but then you've assigned sound tones to them, so that even when you are hitting a small instrument, it's sounding like the phantom from drum. Okay. And so I'm sure it's
All
a good
right.
call for us to look into it.
Okay. Thank you
But
very much.
it's gonna go hard.
Yeah.
There has to
Yeah.
be pictures.
All right, so now
Pictures
I'm
and
going to
videos.
open up for questions from everybody. I know Faisal is here. I know Mustafa is here. I know NK is right here. NK, good afternoon, because I know that I'm in the same time zone with you. All right, so Faisal, would you want to ask the question?
Right, why are you putting me on the spot right now?
I know you have a question, so if you have anything, you can
I,
but maybe before you think about, maybe I'm not sure, maybe you're thinking about it, but has there been any international collaboration in terms of within the African continent with I know that there are other dance ensembles in Africa that also are pursuing Kwame Nkrumah's vision on maintaining the repertoires of our tradition. Is there any collaboration with such companies? Or if there is not, is there anything that we are going to hope for soon?
On the continent, no, we are yet to. But
Why
outside
not?
the continent, yes.
I think we
we
relate
always,
more with people in the continent than people outside the continent, no?
you relate with your friends outside more than the people in your house. That's how we use technology.
No.
Your people, you are in the house with your brothers, and everybody's on phone, chatting with someone outside, instead of putting the phone down and chatting with the people in here.
Of course, that is where technology is
Yes,
taking us. Yeah,
exactly. And so that's where we are drifting. And so we are in a collaboration.
But even proud to technology. Technology has never ceased. But proud to what you like, the mobile phones and all that, the social media. Has there been collaborations with other like Nigerian dance, maybe a dance ensemble in Nigeria, Senegal? Because I know the Guinea Ballet, for instance, and all that. Has there been any collaborations like that?
There been how do you call it? A long relationship with how do you call it? The Senegal, Gambia, and then I think Mali, but that was some time ago. Okay, I'm talking about currently. Yes, currently we do not have one yet, but as well, I mean, Ghana and then Ghana's ensemble and then Ballet Africain, they did wonderful performances. They toured for some time. Okay, and so so they had that relationship. But
and can those opportunities be brought back? Because I'm sure that when there are bigger platforms like that, bigger organizations like bigger collaborations like that, it drums down the aesthetic forms of our tradition, and you get to appreciate different dances perspective from different places from Africa, and so it built that Africanness, the confidence of the African, and kind of decolonize. Oh my God, decolonized, our minds from. Oh my God, it's been a long time since I took okra. So it kind of reforms ourselves from always depending on what's is more foreign. And because of course somebody may say, oh, I've seen Panlogo for a long time, but what about somebody doing samba? I mean Sabah, I mean choreographing something with Sabah and Panlogo, or some of these Zulu dance forms with Agbeko, that those kind of collaborations and building new forms in that sense.
I've actually had an unofficial, it was just a working discussion with one of my professors, and on the fact that we have to retrace our steps back to Ballet Africain, as a Senegalese national dance ensemble, and then also work like rekindle that relationship. And so we've thought about it, but sometimes you see the pressing issues and the realities that are facing you on the ground. You have these discussions, and then you have to shield them, because pursuing them takes a lot of time and resources and energy. And so the moment their performance sees beckoning you left, right, center, and you are so saddled with a lot of things to do, sometimes you tend to shield some of these things. But rightly so. I think it's high time we reach out to our neighbors on the continent. Recently, I was discussing with my colleague at the National Theatre, Stephanie, that when she's going on FESPACO, she should tag me along so that I'll go and experience what FESPACO is. And then we'll see how we can infuse FESPACO, we can infuse dance and performance into what they also do. But FESPACO generally is about film review and film award, kind of short film award system. Mm-hmm. But then she tells me that even though it's about film, the opening ceremonies and some performance interpolations are all in the realm of dance. Mm-hmm. And so it's possible that the two companies, we can start from there, collaborate and work through that line, maybe to go to FESPACO or start on the continent. And also, previously, we used to perform for Nigeria, Togo during their national days, during their independent days also, but not with their national ensembles. And so I don't even know, I've not researched to find out whether they have a national ensemble. Nigeria, I know their national ensemble is defunct now, but I don't know for Togo and for the rest of the continent. And another thing is that sometimes the governments are really, in fact, African governments are really not willing to invest into their art forms. And so they leave it as it is. And very few people who are interested on carry it. And so the one who is outside, who can place some form of premium on what he does not have, would come for it and learn it and then advance with it. Okay. Because we have this in abundance, we sometimes tend to take them for granted. Okay. And so these are some of the challenges. Someone who is outside, who has no culture, who wants something to hold on to, would approach you. And once the person approaches you and has a good offer, you just get swayed and then you go along with it. So basically, that is the challenge. And there's really the need for us to reignite some of these continental fraternities again.
Okay, great. I know NK is here, Mustafa is here. Any questions from anybody before we wrap up? Any questions?
Yeah, more questions, but I'll speak for myself. I don't know where to start the questions. My question.
Start from the beginning, or you can do take from the middle, any which way.
Okay, let me just think about it this way. Ghana Dance Ensemble is an institution, and most of the time, it's basically an institution that is mandated to elevate the culture and heritage of Ghana. And we mostly think about it also as a way for which people can, develop on themselves. My question basically is, when we were talking about the recruitment processes and then the need for, bringing people with indigenous knowledge system, it's a bit, difficult, because anytime I hear this word indigenous knowledge system, it becomes a bit challenging, because what actually is indigenous, people with indigenous knowledge? And the whole idea of indigenous actually comes from, a certain word where they are indigenous people. In Ghana, we cannot think about it from that perspective. But that is one, that is just by the way. But my point is, so when these people come into the company, how do they grow? How do they evolve? How do their knowledge, translate back into the community? Does it get stuck with, the institution, or the institution, also kind of have this sort of continuous relationship with communities that they are dependent on for their survival? So how does the Ghana Dance Ensemble institution basically help promote or help encourage the idea of cultural knowledge in Ghanaian communities, not just performing for state functions, because that sort of gives it a certain, picture, performing for the elite, but how do they connect to the citizenry? Not, in that top domains? That is one of my questions. So you can respond to that.
Right. From the last bit, you see, when we perform at national fora, it's carried on the national broadcaster and ancillary broadcasters. And so the citizens that you're talking about watch TV now. And so they learn it. The ensemble cannot go from one community to the other and they keep educating them. But when we leverage on technology, it goes wider and faster than we think it is. And so a lot of these communities see their traditions being performed each now and then that we perform on a national stage. And we have the advantage of national broadcasters at our disposal. Okay, so that is how we also reach out to the communities. And because of the fact that a lot of people are not keen on their traditions, those who have lost track of it, they appreciate what they have. In fact, there are people that we call elite that when we perform for them, they will tell you, they will come backstage and come and tell you how they used to be in African studies class, that's Afro Stats music or dance class. And they used to do gahu, and now they can't do it anymore, but they really like it and they will display some to you. All right. We are a small unit with a big mandate, but currently funding and other resource constraints are not permitting us to do what we need to do. And so we have to leverage on technology and on other forms. Now, when we talk about members going back to the community, yes, the members who have moved from, or one person who has moved from, let's say Anglo, or has come from Dagomba town and has come to the ensemble, has been exposed to Panlogo, has been exposed to every Agbaja performance or Achiagbeko, has been exposed to Phantom From, has been exposed to Sichi and other Panlogo and other traditional dance forms. And so when he goes back to his hometown, he is at liberty to form his own ensemble bit over there and pass on the knowledge that he has learned, okay, back to that community so that his people will also understand that he has moved from the tradition, he has come to the big town into a national ensemble like GDE, and whatever he has learned, on the day that he's on leave, he can go back and then give it. The ensemble cannot go to every person's hometown and then set up mini units or so. Remember some of the repertoire that the people perform even within the tradition, some of them are performances of the ensemble that they have also learned and given back. And also know that we also churn out students who are coming from this tradition. And so these students also go back with the knowledge and then perhaps teach it over to schools. We have graduates from the performing arts program who goes to secondary schools, who goes to junior high schools, who goes to private schools and also teach the tradition over there, teach the dance and the music forms over there. And so, and then also don't forget, some of the ensemble members also do Agbana, and by their Agbana, they'll go to these schools and go and teach them for their speech days and everything. So in a way, someone who comes from the north, who has learned how to play Kwalogo, can go to a nearby school or can go back to his hometown and teach Kwalogo over there. That is something new to them. All right. And so I think they are doing it in diverse ways. If you, the skill that you are looking at, I'm not getting it, but I don't think it's really feasible now for us to do that. For the constraints that we have.
Okay. I think you've touched on some important elements that I ask, and then also the idea of Nkrumah's ideology. This is a very big and tricky thing because Nkrumah's ideas that we kind of, this discussion is centering on, speaks to cultural, political, economic development. And of course, many a times we always, discussions always center back on the cultural advancement, of Black identity. And then Ghana Dance Ensemble, being the flag bearer, let me put in that, symbolic context, is expected to sort of elevate that, symbolic identity of Ghana. But it seems as though, this is my observation, that in our own Ghanaian environment, our cultural, our cultural performances or our cultural knowledge that are translated into performance for the sake of, lack of better word, has been reduced to entertainment. So, when the ensemble, for example, the ensemble, perform in state functions, it's basically a show of, I don't know how to put it, but it's not far from entertainment. And my question now is, how does the ensemble today correct these ideas of asa, as it's, the knowledge that is being exhibited in public?
Can you translate it in English so that?
Yes, asa means dance, dancing. It's a noun and a verb. So my point is, my question is, yes.
I quite understand what you are saying. You see, this knowledge bodies, people learn in different ways. People learn through tactile things. Okay. People.
But, my question is, how can the ensemble be on the same level of seriousness like a department in the science, in the sciences? Like, in terms of relevance to the Ghanaian community, in terms of relevance to to the university, in terms of relevance to the the public intellectuals. How can the ensemble? Because if the ensemble, for example, is reduced to in a Western gaze, we call it conservatory, how can ensemble elevate itself from that position to another position that is very much articulate in the Ghanaian discourse? Not just entertainment, not just demonstrating the culture to the public during functions. Because, for example, when there's a state coronation, there's installment of the vice chancellor or whatever, the ensemble leads and perform, and then they vanish from, they leave the scene. How can an ensemble be part of the discourse when the vice chancellor is being put into office?
Now, when the vice chancellor is being put into office, what discourse are we having? Someone is being inaugurated, and the focus is on the person. Okay, and
of course, there's no discourse. But my point is, how can the institution within the university, assume that same relevance, that same prominence like other institutions in the university?
You see, all the institutions in the university rise to a certain occasion and they are acknowledged.
Yes.
Okay. Noguchi is relevant now within the medical fraternity or within this COVID as well. Noguchi is on the quiet working on its own malaria and other things. Okay. But Noguchi is on the forefront because of COVID. And KCCR, Kumasi Center for Research, they are also up on the floor. In fact, I didn't know that there was something like that until COVID struck. And I knew that, oh, okay, there's another big facility called KCCR. Do you understand? And so they have come up for discussion. When anything has to do with the arts and any of the, how do you call it, discourses within the arts, I'm sure Ghana Ensemble will rise to the occasion. Now, remember, the University of Ghana prides itself as being an African university or a Ghanaian university with Ghanaian identity. And so at each official gathering of the university, there is always the performance of the dance, not as entertainment, but as an affirmation of Ghanaian and African identity first, before any other person will say it as an entertainment. Do you understand? And so it depends on where your positionality, where you stand on that.
Okay, let me just correct this. I totally understand that it is an affirmation of Ghanaian identity first, because yes, it is a discourse that the ensemble is having in the public. But let's translate it into the unseen part of it. How much, for example, funding comes into the ensemble? How much collaborations comes into the ensemble? How much
That is why I'm telling you that if a lot of the nations are not funding their arts facilities. Look at National Theatre. National Theatre is suffering. Okay, look at the Centers for Regional Cultures. Our current president promised building a national facility in all the regions. Even the Kumasi one, Kumasi or Eastern Region 1, they tried renovating a facility also. They have not been able to complete it. Exactly. The state that understand has been left is awful. And so if the political people who has the world with us are unable to even construct one relevant theater in a region, how much funding? And they're telling you that the public purse is full. And so how much funding are they giving to you? See, as while the Ghana Ensemble had its own funding from the Ministry of Finance. And so you don't go to the university, you go to the Finance Ministry and draw your check. And I think National Theatre is the only one doing it. Ghana Ensemble has folded up. In fact, Institute of African Studies used to draw its funding straight from government, not from the university. But that also collapsed long time ago, and they integrated it into the mainline university system. Ghana Ensemble has also been integrated into the mainline university system and is drawing its fund from the Institute of African Studies. That is also drawing its fund from the College of Humanities. That is drawing its fund from the University of Ghana.
Like you have elaborated, the ensemble is shrinking.
The challenge is coming from the state funding its arts, putting premium on its art. And so if the state cannot put premium on its art, anyone who does not have the arts and want to hold on to something will bring the funding and then we'll move with it. Do you understand? And so we are not getting any funding from anywhere. Everybody is complaining. Nkrumah. Okay.
And Nkrumah means what?
Nkrumah means the economy is tough. We are having economic recession.
Yeah, I mean, I said that because there are people who may not speak.
Understand?
The longer.
Yeah, we're having economic recession. Everything melts down here and there.
So the question will be, I mean, I understand that and Ensemble does performances. When they do those performances, do they have to report these finances? Somebody comes to contract us to perform at a function. Are these monies given back to the government? Are these monies an extended gain for performers and directors of these functions? Or because the reason why I'm asking that question is that yes, there are certain times that, of course, governmental organizations might not pull in to support these arts and all that. But within the organization itself, are there established, let's say, maybe what I would call mini visions that, okay, maybe if we look at ourselves in this particular way, if we extend if we make ourselves visible in a certain light, it would draw the attention of the importance of the institute. Of course, people know, but they might be sleeping. But then when it's in their faces that, hey, what about if we look at this? It will kind of trigger something, just like using fish to catch fish, right? So is there any mini vision internally that is being cooked in a way to more of emphasize the significance of the cultural form? Because I mean, as you said earlier on, there are Christianity, Islam, modern forms have, I would say, deterred the African of looking at themselves as more important, but what they do is that they look at outside, they look at America, they look at Europe, rather than looking at their dance form, their ritual form, their blah blah blah.
Well,
so
I think
is there any way to change that perspective within your maybe caucus vision, like, okay, this is what we want to do. This is how this funds, if we get this fund, this is what we want to achieve, in order for people to actually also recognize what you're doing and see, because artists, and I read this from Dr. Dinko's book. I think there was somebody who was writing about the theater movement, and was stating that one of Kwame Nkrumah's vision was for some of these dances for Ghanaians to create new dance forms from the existing ones, right? So then we can look into the whole idea of contemporary dance and blah, blah, blah. But if we are doing some of these things, can we keep building up in such a way that will drum down the importance of our tradition and make it visible for financiers?
I think we are doing our best to make our tradition visible. That is why I'm saying that we are leveraging on technology to advance the cause of Ghana Dance Ensemble. On the other hand, the nation is really not keen. See, when it comes to education, okay, the education ministry, they are looking at STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. That is their focus. They're not looking at STEAM, STEAM. So there's no art in the STEAM. There's only the STEM, and it is science and core maths. That is it. That's what they are looking at.
Yeah. Okay? So building from that point, focus, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So building from that same point. Exactly. Building from that same point. So what I was actually saying in a nutshell was that having them to see the relevance of those math, those science within these art forms that people are not really appreciating. Are there science knowledge? I mean, these decision makers. Are there science in our dance forms? Are there math? Are there, because when somebody knows the person is not dumb. If the person is playing a traditional rhythm, and the traditional rhythm is speaking to the people, and you know that for you to do an ethnographic research of a particular people, you have to know the way they live, the way they eat, the way they work, the way they do this thing. All these things are embedded in the dance. So what about just looking at their art forms and look at which direction is their art form tilting towards? How can we actually address economic gains within this area?
All these things are being addressed though. See, when it's still on the education bit, okay, there's a new curriculum that is being developed, and it's being enforced now. And there's dance. In fact, Terry and Dr. Kuo were on that committee. In fact, Dr. Kuo opted out because of some and they are undermining certain subject areas and placing premium on others because of the focus of the nation. And so it's a national thing. But Terry stayed in there and really put in some recommendations and put in some dance aspects from all the levels that they are trying to achieve. And it has been put in there. It's examinable. But who are going to teach them? Those who are going to teach them will be the training colleges or colleges of education. Okay? But the colleges of education are not recruiting anybody from the School of Performing Arts to come and teach them that. Okay? And so because of that, what myself, Terry, and Baby Kwe, we have been tasked to do is to write a certificate program that would enable teachers to come and study these programs as a crash course, okay, for them to go back to go and propagate it. If you're looking up to Ghana Dance Ensemble with its less than 28 members or so to undertake this, it is impossible. Okay, we cannot go to all the training colleges because see, if you want to catch them young, you need to get them from the beginning, and that is going to teach the teachers at the training colleges. When they go to their schools, they are going to handle it down to the school, to the students, and they meet a lot more of the numbers than we are going to meet in a session. Okay, see, the dance department or the School of Performing Arts is not even able to provide or to churn out dance students to go and teach. There's always a deficiency. Okay, and so this is it. Ghana Dance Ensemble cannot do that big job. The Dance Ensemble is surviving under the institute with a certain minimum budget to do what it's like. for over 8 years now, we've not been able to recruit because there's no clearance for us to recruit. So where are we going to get the funding from to do that? You might say, let's write some grants. Yes, but the grants will come with conditions, and those grant givers are telling you to model it on this level. And so you go to tow it because you want the money. Your parent now has to feed you. He's not feeding you properly. And so how do you get nourished for you to be thinking of other things and start dreaming? First, there's a reality on the ground. Where you are now, you'll be thinking you should be able to do this, you'll be able to reach out and become relevant. We are so relevant over here. We are the go-to people for how do you call it, indigenous knowledge. If the one that you think it's even problematic, and that is when it comes to academia. Now you can theorize and problematize it, but on the ground it is working. Okay, on the ground when you come and we tell you you will get it. The moment they play it 1, 2, 3. But are you going to be on the national how do you call it? Recently, I was on an interview at Nkrumah, and some of the discussion I was having, not at Nkrumah, sorry. I think 97 Hot FM or so, I've forgotten that. It was on one of their evening programs, and they featured, they set up a week for the arts, and they called me up for dance. Okay, and so I went and spoke. I took some of the instruments there to their studios, and you should see their studios. The studio is very small, almost like a master bedroom, not a master, sorry to use this, but it's like a master bedroom's washroom. Okay, and it's because it's a talk
that
show.
is depending on where you are, because people's master bedrooms and can be bigger than the whole field.
You understand? No, not the master bedroom itself, but the washroom. That's the entire studio with the consoles and everything in there. And so we have to actually squeeze and be in a certain corner and not take all of the drums. So we took scanty drums and we have to improvise and change the tones of the drums to make things. In fact, everybody stood where they were standing in that corner and they were performing. Okay, but the communication, the engagement, the knowledge values that were churning out throughout the discourse went further, and the host himself was so amazed that all these things are happening. But see, the reality is that those who are supposed to make things happen are not making things happen. They themselves, they're not getting it easy. Okay, so when we sit outside here and then we lament plenty, yes, we have the liberty to lament, but on the ground, it's not easy. It's not as it is. So,
Dr. Hargoe, I totally agree with you. I mean,
okay.
This is not me, sort of putting a blank eye to it, or me being a different part and seeing, what is happening in Ghana differently. No, I totally understand what is happening. But this question is, I asked basically this question because you are, you've come. You are the director with new vision. I anticipate and I kind of imagine that you come with a new vision, because stories like this, the institute is not, its handicap has been in existence for a very long time. And the question
but you see, your new vision would have to be how do you call it, propelled on a certain vehicle. And so if you come with a new vision, new energy, and the vehicle that you're going to use is not in good condition, your vision will only move a little thus far.
Okay, then let me ask the question differently. How can the limitation that the ensemble is having right now be transformed into possibilities that may bring wider attention to the and wider opportunities to the ensemble?
Well, wider attention opportunities mean what? Collaborations with others.
Well, collaboration could be one of it, and also
yes, and it is one of it, and we are working on it. That is why I tell you that that is why I tell you that we are collaborating. We have this standing collaboration with the Czech Republic. Okay.
Right.
We are actually in talks with how do you call it, a group from the Netherlands, and
right.
we are on it. And how do you call it? I also spoke about the fact that I had a unofficial discussion about going back to Guinea, Senegal, Ballet African to retouch base with them. All these things are there. Okay, but on the ground, there are also other constraints. And so everybody is trying their best possible to advance the cause of the institution at one point in time. See, one person cannot do everything. And so we are actually doing our best. The vision is big. Let the funding come bash. And
Okay,
you see,
let me just
dreaming.
ask one question.
So
Sorry,
so,
moderator. Sorry,
yeah,
just
Faisal,
let
you
me just
hold on?
ask this question. No, I will not hold on. Let me ask this question.
Okay,
So,
real quick.
We all
and then
understand
move on to-
Nkrumah's vision was very much political. Now, from where we stand, just a sentence. What do you think the current vision, for the Ghana Dance Ensemble is? Because initially the vision started on a political tone to bring to put the Black Star, the African, on the international,
Well,
scene.
the vision of the ensemble now is to research further into now endangered dance traditions, and also to be the go-to performance company within on the continent, or if not in West Africa, on the continent. So the go-to dance company on the continent or in West Africa, to research further into endangered dance and music traditions, and then also to be a performance company within Ghana.
Okay, so then then we can agree that the first vision is not really working because there's no funding, because to go to communities we need a lot of money, and since the company is handicapped, that vision is currently on a standby. Can we agree to that?
What do you think?
I mean, on this note, I think we've mentioned Guinea Ballet. I must say this in passing real quick. One of the earlier members of the Guinea Ballet, who happened to be a mentor of mine over here, passed away I think in September, I'm sure, or October. So may his soul rest in perfect peace. He's called Papa Zach. And he was such a wonderful person. He actually has a big company over here called the Diamanokura Dance dance company, Diamanokura. Yeah. So I know this Saturday is going to be a program in recognition of his effort and his contribution to dance form in the Bay Area, California. So
please share the link if that's possible. Okay,
I will. If I get hold of anything, I will. NK, you're here. Do you have any question? Mustafa Brahma. NK?
I have a question.
Okay.
So, if
yeah, Tafa, you're muted.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. I heard something. I just want to clarify. By clarifying, I'll ask you a question. And whatever I say, whatever question I ask, I am in no way comparing Ghana to the United States. I was born and bred in Ghana. I lived in Ghana for 27 years.
So can you speak English so that we can get the impulse of what you're saying?
So I've spent a great deal of time in Ghana, so I'm nowhere comparing my practice here, my practice in Ghana.
39
However,
years in Ghana, we understand.
I heard you. I think did you say that students in the School of Performing Arts have problems teaching in the training colleges, or the government do not allow them to go from the School of Performing Arts with the BA and BFA to teach in the training colleges to help promote?
I didn't say so.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard something about teaching challenges. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the number. He said the number of students that are churned out each year would not even suffice all the schools that are available.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it didn't
good.
have to be. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, on that note, and if you can tell us when you came, what the ensemble used to be and what it is now. I know there's been COVID, but I just want you to touch on the brighter side. What it used to be and how you met the situation and what you've done to elevate it, or whether you've been successful, whether you are still in the process, or where you see it, kind of in line with what first I was asking earlier, where you see it going, like you being the
All right.
leader.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I think the point in which I came in, there was leadership crisis in the ensemble. Okay. There was a lot of leadership crisis. How do you call it? There was an issue with the leader by then, and so he was asked to step aside, and he was given to another faculty person at the institute, okay, who was not a dance person and who didn't know much about the dealings of the ensemble and how to manage it, okay. And so it was just almost like, for want of a better word, a figurehead, okay. And then, so the members themselves started, in fact, they are without a proper leader who would choreograph them, who would listen to them, who would understand their situation and everything. So they were just there. If there's a performance engagement, they just organize themselves and then they will go and perform. And then also they had their own internal interhuman relationship challenges. And so coming on board and studying them for some time, I realized it. So I had to actually get them into a formidable team. What I did was to have their internal leadership structure, okay? So where they themselves elected their own leaders, and their leaders interface between them and then me. Also, their leaders were the disciplinary unit of the ensemble, so that they have their own laws. And these are people who have been there for so many years before me joining. Okay, so they have their own laws and or conventions that they go by. And so anybody that flouts it, their immediate leadership executive supposed to be the disciplinary committee to deal with it. They had disciplinary challenges. And so I had to step in to resolve some issues, to talk them, and to instill some discipline into the ensemble for some time. The other bit was that for it to work, you don't have to, you, the director, have to be coming in all the time to be putting people in their own place. They had to understand that there are levels within there. There are seniors within the ensemble. And so they needed to respect their seniors accordingly. And so if you don't give that respect, if you don't respect anybody, you also don't get that reciprocity. And so that was established. It wasn't easy, but over a period of time, it started working. I had to withdraw from the disciplinary level so that they would take over whatever they decide on, come back to me for me to implement it. And so now, if there are issues, they go directly to their leadership. Otherwise, everything will be coming back to my desk. And remember, I am a full faculty at the dance department, and I lecture and I supervise and I have to research on my own and everything. And so you cannot, for want of a better word, babysit them all the time. Okay. And so I had to put that in place. And now I can tell you they are fantastic. There's better discipline, although they are still having challenges because we are humans. Okay. They have that one. Also, performances and how to go about performing and setting practices and setting protocols. Okay, they had their own. I had to bring mine over there. Okay, also to sort of, they had challenges with facilities or working tools, so to speak. And so we had to do some purchases. We had to do some costume purchases. we had to look at their warfare and other stuff. Another challenge that I faced was promotion. Okay, and promotion was used as sort of punishment, and so a lot of people worked for a long time without being promoted, and I had that difficult challenge to correct some of these promotions. So I worked on some of their promotions, difficult ones. I had to work on corridors of power to get some how do you call it, resolved. And you see, when you are working and you are seeing the benefits of what you are giving your life for, you are motivated. And so one of the motivation is the protocol. And also I've also found my own special way of motivating them. And so it's really is helping in a lot of ways. As for the challenges, they are there plenty. So we are still working on them. And we've been working on choreographies. Coming in, my first major performance or choreography was the Ajenulo that we put up. And that was somewhere 2019, 2020. And then also we started to work on a new one, and then the excuse came, COVID struck. And so all choreographies were put on hold. Now we are reviving them. Now that we are able to do some meaningful rehearsals and undertake performances, we are actually working on new choreographies and I think the moment they are working on choreographies, the moment they are moving up and down, performing, it boosts their morale. Because see, when you work beyond a certain limit, it attracts overtime and it attracts some transportation allowances here and there. And so the more often you get engagements that are within that particular time zone, it's an additional source of finance for them. And so so far so good, but there are a lot of ugly challenges that we also battling with.
Okay. So the man management has really helped out. So I read my last question. I know when I was at School of Performing Arts, when I came, you were in your final year for 400, level 400. I was in level 100. I personally, I cannot speak for everybody, but I have personally benefited immensely from the Ghana Dance Ensemble. You know, the fortunate that we had having them on campus, rehearsing, hearing them every day, listening to their rhythms, watching them. I have benefited from them by, being invited, joining them to performances, some of the national performances, some are state level performances. And I know you also teach full-time, as you mentioned, in the school. Do you still have those connections? Are you still using students? Are you still getting students to benefit from the Ghana Dance Ensemble?
It's a whole lot better now. And see, our final years that completed this academic year. In fact, there was no student that was running a project that Ghana Dance Ensemble was not part of. You understand? Those who did their choreography, they had how do you call it, tutorials, they had hand from Dance Ensemble members, those who are running management projects, having to move from community to community, having to bring resource persons from outside. Dance Ensemble was with them each and every way. Also, for about 2 years in running now, I've been getting students from the dance department to do their service with the Ghana Dance Ensemble, and then also to intern with Ghana Dance Ensemble. And so, with me having one foot in the ensemble and one foot at the dance department has really opened that collaboration. Recently, also, we worked with the Embassy of Israel on Dance Bridges project, and ensemble was one key, pillar in there to advance that program. And so, in fact, the relationship with the dance department and by extension, the School of Performing Arts, it's greater now. In the Ajenulo performance, I had a lot of students in there to boost, for them to rub shoulders with the ensemble and also get one skill or the other. Okay, and so it is way better now.
Yep.
I just want to finish with with one last question. So Aristides, personally, as an artistic director, what is your challenge as Aristides? What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses?
Well, my weakness is that I don't have the wherewithal to do what I want to do. So it is making me not to be as efficient as I want to be. Okay. Some of the challenges are human resource. I don't have enough personnel, enough ladies. The ladies are growing, and because you're not recruiting, you're not getting younger ladies to take to assist. And so we have these ladies who have been performing for about 20 and counting, 15 and counting years. And they are also giving birth. And so their physical strength is waning. Their physical body structure is also changing. Okay. And so I'm not having the opportunity to recruit and then augment the numbers on stage. And so these are some of the challenges. Well, as a human, I have my own set of challenges that I'm also battling with. But with Ensemble, I'm started with a lot of setbacks that are not making me to advance the way I'd wanted to advance. Ensemble is one special unit that needs a lot of funding to motivate because it's the physical human body. See, per the levels that they are in terms of ranking, okay, they are not getting enough finance for themselves. And so sometimes as artistic director, they'll come to you. They see you as their father. And so they'll come to you and you have to find a way of motivating them. You have to find a way of transporting them from work to home. Okay. And it's really
do they give you petty cash? At the Institute of African Studies, do they give you petty cash?
You have petty cash, but the petty cash has its own regulations. You don't administer petty cash any way you want. Okay, petty cash has its own rules. And so you are within the administrative system, you have to follow the rules of the petty cash. Then you ask yourself, how much is the petty cash? That is why it's petty cash. How much is the petty cash? You have to exhaust the petty cash.
It's petty.
Yes, very, very petty. You have to exhaust it, account for it, and then we'll take some time for the next one to be worked on and released to you. Okay, so you need something urgently and you have to dole it out of your pocket. A lot of things have gone out of my own personal pocket into the Ensemble. Okay, and for me, once it's going to help with the work, I really don't mind. All right, so it's my forebears had the opportunity of having a certain quantum of money to do whatever they want to do with it. Okay, some really applied it properly, some misapplied it, and because of that, because of the misapplication, certain systems were curtailed. One clear example is that at every performance that will be in the evening or weekend, you are given a quantum amount of money to be given to the performers to transport them home as TNT, okay? And then the rest will come as overtime. But someone would give off TNT to very few people, okay, and sign up for a lot of people. That these people have taken it, and then the rest goes down. And so the money keeps going out of the institute, but it doesn't come back. All right. And so and you've been performing, you're on the performance road all the time, but you don't have substantial money coming back. It was after the setting aside because of some challenges that the new person who was the father figure has that any amount of money that is realized should be paid to the accountant. And then within a very short time, the amount of money that was paid within the accountant was more than the amount of money that the former person had to bring in the whole year. Hey. Okay. And so okay, so this thing is workable. So if this is true, then we have to review the system. And so the system was reviewed, and I have to superintend over this review system. And so you don't have now the freedom to spend as much as you can. But per the system that I've also inherited, I'm moving around the system to make sure that the members are better off in a way. Okay, so within the constraints, you're finding how to do things.
All right. Oh, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. I think we've done like two and
and a half.
2.5 hours. Thank you very much. This has been African Live Arts. We connect to different African artists, professors, instructors, what have you, and discuss various topics within the arts, within tourism, within anything. Anything within arts and tourism, definitely. So thank you very much, Dr. Nene
Hargoe, that's fine.
Nene Hargoe. And my senior at the University of Ghana. And thank you everybody also for coming in. Those on Facebook, those on YouTube, we really appreciate your staying with us and having this discussion with us. Thank you very much.
All right, so this is my face in my car now.
Oh.
Nene Hargoe.
I read dollars.
Now we have you.
Akbana Faisal.
All right, so
I had lights out, so I had to run to the car to make this possible.
Yeah, and we really appreciate that so much.
We really appreciate your deep insights.
You're most welcome.
And
also,
guys,
you bring cash. Send cash down. Then I will put your names on projects. Bring the cash down,
so
bring the funding.
definitely we keep moving on. African Live Arts, we are chopping some successes, and definitely you hear from us. Other instructors have already seen few things that we've been able to do, but we are growing. Gradually we'll get there. Gradually everybody's going to get involved. I know there are a lot of requests for digital education, what do you call it, ethnic studies being a compulsory course in California, and the fact that we also want to curb this whole idea of misinformation in the Western world about Africa. And so Africans telling their story, their own story, becomes a very important thing, whether within African or even outside Africa. So thank you very much again for joining us today. But again, Dr. Narh Hargoe is the artistic director of Ghana Dance Ensemble, University of Ghana, Institute of African Studies, University of Ghana. He is on the African Live Art website. He is well versed in Ghanaian traditional dance forms. And so if you need to interact with him, you can go onto www.africanliveart and then make that work. Yes, we're going to be having some interesting subjects coming as well. Coming up, of course, next in 2 months, we are having Black History Month. We're going to have 4 series class every week from 1st February to 8th February, and I think 15th, and the last class is going to be on the 22nd. Yeah, we're going to have different African scholars, artists, tourists, tour guides to come give us information. There's going to be some discount for early bird and all that. So just get that in place, and then we will connect better with you. We're going to put some flyers along, some announcements along for people to get to us. So thank you very much again. Most grateful for joining us today. Yes.
Before you wrap up, permit me to announce that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Next year, hopefully, we'll be celebrating our 60th anniversary.
Whoa!
And so, yes, GD will be 60 next year, and we'll be rolling
when is the event? So that I put it on calendar.
It's supposed to be a year long. It's supposed to be a year long. So we have a we have an award ceremony to honor pioneers that commenced the ensemble, and some people that have gone out of their way to assist the ensemble in diverse ways, past artistic directors and stuff like that. Okay. And we'll be launching also the anniversary celebration somewhere next year, either January or February, depending on. And there'll be a series of performances and workshops with the School of Performing Arts, National Theatre, Ghana Ensemble National Theatre, and some international collaborations and stuff like that. So
Okay.
just put your
All
ears
right.
on the ground.
All right.
Whenever
And if you get
anything
the dates, you can also send it to me and
pass
some
it
of
on
the
to
flyers,
Salary.
and then we can share
Sure.
them and
Definitely.
advertise them as well. All
Definitely.
right. Thank you very much. Thank you very
You're
much.
most welcome.
Do you yeah, so anybody who need if you need any personal one-on-one instruction on some of the traditional forms, Mr. Dr. Narh Hargoe is on African Library website.
Make no mistake.
And do you have any media outlets, social media outlet that people can connect to you if there is?
Yes. Ghana Dance Ensemble UG Legon. We are on Facebook.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And any last words?
Ari, I'm coming next week. I'm coming next week.
Oh, come. Let's work together. Yes. Come. Let's dream on. Right. Yes. Well, as Ghana Dance Ensemble, we have a mandate, and we are trying to advance the cause of African and Ghanaian, especially Ghanaian music and dance tradition. And so that is our core mandate, to research into it and to propagate it. And so anyone with intention of researching into Ghana, into indigenous dance forms, tag along and let's work together and let's help advance the indigenous knowledge forms embedded within our dance and music traditions.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody.
I
really appreciate what everybody your contributions.
Right.
And all that. So we're gonna go offline soon. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
For making this. We are not for making this a reality.
Are we offline?